Alright, gonna get a new 30-minute game going. Get the black pieces. E4, C6, D4, D5. Classic, caro-kann. Get the advanced variation. Knight C3 is how I prefer to play it. Knight F3 is also fine. We'll get some variation of the two knights, most likely. Gonna get our center closed up. If they want to get their light squared bishop out, that's fine. We can get our knight out to E7 and make that trade. Also coming up soon, pawn to C5. There we go. And ideally, they take here. Wonderful. Then we get our knight out to F5, putting pressure on this D4 pawn. We can get our bishop out to E7 and get castled, and then move forward with our other plans. Though I guess pushing C5 immediately also looks pretty good. C5 and then knight out to C6. Let's go ahead and do that. We're not in any real danger. They've traded off their light squared bishop, so I'm not worried about checks. Well, they do have this check available to them. We will play our knight out to C6 to mitigate that. And they don't have a light squared bishop to pin this knight, so they have 1, 2, 3 defenders. We have 1, 2, 3 attackers. We can play our queen out to b6, get another attacker on this pawn. They can play bishop to e3 to do the same. But then I think I'm happy to trade our knight for their bishop. It feels like a pretty good trade. Also take. Okay, they get their knight out. We'll get our queen to b6, effectively pinning their dark squared bishop into place. Because if they come out, now we have queen takes on b2. The dark squared bishop is the only defender of that pawn. And then we can run this exchange. So they have 1, 2, 3 defenders, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers. So we simply win that exchange. If they do want to get their bishop out, I think we can safely take here. Maybe knight comes out, and then we take this pawn as well. I think that's how that works out. I think that's how that works out. This is a great game in the spirit of the caro-kann advance, where we're putting a lot of pressure on this d4 pawn, and our opponent has to figure out quickly how to mitigate that pressure. But I think they don't have any other options. I think perhaps queen up to d1 and then rook over to, or queen to d2 and rook to d1 was probably a little bit better. Okay, they get the dark square bishop out. Let's evaluate real quick what queen to b2 looks like. Your queen takes on b2. They need to move their knight out in order to preserve their rook, because if they do something else, if we do like queen out and then let's say something innocuous like pawn to a3, we take their rook for free and we're still threatening this c3 pawn. So queen, knight, then I think queen takes on c3, and we have sort of ample escape squares. No matter what they do, if they get their rook out, we can drop back to, let's say, b4 looks fine, or all the way back to a5. So I think this is a good move for us. So if they get their knight out, I guess we don't have to take. Well, knight out. Yep. Go back and take here, and I just want to see if there's anything else we need to do. If knight goes back, that looks fine. So we can, I guess we could also just take here, because now they've put their knight in the way of one of the defenders of this pawn. So they have 1, 2, 3 defenders, and we have 1, 2, 3. Queen will be 4 attackers. So I think we can safely take this pawn and begin this exchange. I guess the one danger being they have queen out with check after the exchange. So I think maybe we take here first and then start the exchange. Does that work? Takes, 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 takes. Oh, we can take it with our queen. We can leave our knight in place. Okay, great. Yeah, so let's make this exchange. And then we have this nice escape square for our queen. Now we're up 2 pawns. We have this nice defensive structure. We have a couple of squares that we could develop our bishop to and get castled in a hurry if it does come to that. I'm feeling pretty good about this. They take, okay, and let's evaluate again. 1, 2, or so we take, they take. Oh, it doesn't quite work out, does it? We take, they take, we take, they take. So we can't lose our queen like that, of course. Maybe we get our bishop out first to b4. That looks good. Then get castled so we can safely move this knight around. Although I guess we could always move the knight back. Takes, 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 queen out. Oh, that works out, actually. Yeah, this works just fine. I think we are just fine here. Very interesting. Okay. So sort of forcing our queen out of the way. We have a couple checks available to us here and here. Yeah, so takes, I guess, I mean, we could just move our queen back to c3. They have knight takes on b7, or rook takes on b7, and that looks a little bit dangerous. Does this do anything for us? I think we have to go like this so we can safely, because I think the challenge is if we get our queen out of the way. Well, I guess we can move to c7. And then they have takes, 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 and that looks fine. If a little bit fraught. Takes, takes. Queen back to c7 anyways. I guess there's no way to defend the b7 pawn. I think likely the safest move is knight out like this, sort of cancel the exchange. Oh, and then maybe we have like queen takes on e5, winning yet another pawn. So let's take here, evacuate our queen, and then we're in the clear. So they have knight out, knight recaptures rather than queen recaptures, which would be a shame. Shucks. Okay, well that was a nice idea. So as far as options to evacuate our queen, we have takes on a2, which I think invites rook over to a1, and then we have fewer paths to escape, I would say. Rook out like this, and then maybe we come over to like g4. That looks sort of rough. C3, I think, runs into some of the same issues. Maybe we just go back to A3. We're up 2 pawns at this point. I guess it'll be 1 pawn after rook takes. But then we can get castled and figure out next steps. So let's, go back to A3. We can play bishop out here, forcing their rook to move. Bishop out, or no, yeah, that works out. Because their rook can't take, because their queen will guard that square. Bishop out, rook moves, castles. And then we figure out where to go from there. Cool. So we'll be up 1 pawn if our opponent chooses to take on b7. They take. All right. As discussed, we will get our bishop out. And then get castled because our king is exposed, and I don't care for that. Our knight here is hanging, something to be aware of. Possible home. No, e7 doesn't work. Down to d8 is sort of gross. Out to the rim on a5 looks like maybe it would be an option. Yep, they get out of the way. We'll get castled. All right, and the game proceeds. Knight out to the rim looks decent, followed by knight to c4. Nice outpost for the knight there. So hitting their rook here, forcing rook to come out, I don't know, to c7 or something. I mean, it's a very dangerous place for a rook to be. But then allowing our knight to come to c4. We can't travel via e5 right now because their knight is guarding that square. But over like this looks like a decent option, and hits their dark squared bishop, and I think will be a little bit up in their business, which I would like to be right now. All right, so we're up 1 pawn. Got a solid position. Their pawns are sort of scattered across the board. We have this really nice pawn structure here. Feeling really good about this. Maybe rook over to c7. Yep. And then we can move forward with our plan. Let's get out here. Maybe they're looking to line up their rooks, which honestly, knight to c4 looks really nice because it breaks the connection between their rooks. We get our knight out over here, and then we have takes, takes, takes if they do decide to move the rook out over here, and that comes with check. Oh, that's all looking pretty good for us. It's all looking pretty great. What does our opponent want to do? I think that's a good question to ask. Knight comes out maybe to G. What is this? G5, perhaps? They get their knight out to D4. Where do they want to go from here? Let's take a look. Got a number of options. It's covered by a piece. That's where it came from. Loses the knight, and opens up the D file. Right now, this loses the knight on C6. I don't really see where they would be thinking to go. It doesn't look like there's a lot of amazing options. So I think, yeah, move forward with their plan to place a knight on C4, maybe trading off their dark squared bishop. This doesn't look amazing because we take. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a poor piece sacrifice. And now we could potentially take on E5. Now that their knight is out of the way, so this pawn is hanging. Is that a better spot for a knight? No, but it can always come back to C4. Now their rook is sort of in an unappealing position down here. We can maybe... Could we trap the rook? No, it doesn't look like it. Be pretty cool though. Something like this, but I think they have a number of escape options. I really like knight takes here on E3. I guess there they can take back with the rook. I was imagining like if they moved their rook out to C2 or got it somewhere, that loses the rook. They don't have a lot of good options actually. Ooh, yeah. So if they move that rook out of the way, I think they're in a lot of trouble. Takes with check, and then we win their pawn, also hitting the rook. That all looks really good. We would be leaving our bishop hanging, so something to be aware of there. Knight to C, what is this, C6, threatening maybe check here, but that's guarded by our bishop. Threatening maybe taking our dark squared bishop, but they need to deal with this threat first. Takes. We could also, I guess we can't take this pawn because it's guarded here. But now really anywhere they want to go is guarded. Yeah, so I think we're fine just to take their bishop here. They need to take back. And we could potentially bishop like this. Takes. Yeah, that doesn't work out for them. Yeah, I mean, this looks really powerful after pawn takes. I guess they still have rook takes. Yeah. So it's actually a little bit nasty for us. It's a little bit of a mistake, I would say. Can move up like this. We need to stay in contact with our bishop to keep it defended. So I think queen down to A4 is an option. It might be our only option. It's sort of less than appealing. Queen down to a4, and then they have rook to b7, adding another attacker. Oh, then we pick this up. They get that. That seems fine. What about bishop to... That doesn't work. Oh, gosh. Bishop to c3? Does that work? It sort of self-pins the bishop, which I don't love. I think, yeah, queen down to a4. Oh, no, queen down to a4 loses. Oh, this is looking tough. Yes, maybe bishop appears the right move. Bishop, nope, they come out with check. We move, and then they have two attackers on our bishop, so they take it. So I think we're just going to lose this piece. Is there anything we can do about that? We're going to lose about 3 points of material. That doesn't work. So we move. I guess then they take, and then we can't take back because their rook would be guarding that. Doesn't work out either, so I think maybe we just take this pawn and call it good for now. Yeah, like we're just gonna lose this piece. Or what was the problem with queen to a4? I think they could pretty easily get an additional attacker on it. Actually, queen, oh yeah, queen to a4 loses our queen outright. So queen to a4 is no good. Bishop to c3 is no good. And so I think we just take this pawn and accept that we have lost a piece. Anywhere else we could go? I don't think so. Shucks. So it takes, and then we need to move again. So maybe then queen down to a5, forking their knight and their rook. That looks decent. Yeah, okay. So we've got an option here. Knight takes on b4, queen down to a5, fork. And then they can't defend both pieces, I don't think. Can they? Can they do any clever knight moves? I don't think so. Don't think so. Yep. Queen down to a5. My mistake. This doesn't do it. How can they defend both of these pieces? If they could move their queen like a knight, they could do it. But they simply cannot. Can they do a knight move? They could do like a knight takes like that. That looks pretty good. You do like knight takes, and then we take with our queen, offering, maybe even forcing a queen trade, because we're threatening back rank mate there. Oh, they find a way. Well done. Well, what if we get our rook out to c8? Or what if we just threaten their rook here? Yeah, that they can't defend. So we get the rook trade in. I shouldn't be trading. What am I thinking? I shouldn't be trading down a piece. That's foolish. Yeah, I think that was a mistake. I guess on the plus side, if they get their queen out to defend, then we have back rank checkmate, which you love to see. They get their knight down. I don't think that's gonna do it. I guess queen down, forking those pieces again. Knight moves with check. We move back. Knight doesn't have anywhere to go, I don't think. Oh, I see. they're forking our pieces. That's what's happening. So I think here, knight takes, queen takes. Okay, so it's a rook trade. It's just a rook trade. I think maybe a rook trade and they lose their knight. So they take here, we take, and then their knight is stuck. Splendid. Or I guess knight takes, queen takes. They can do rook over to b3. And then we can't take. We can't take their knight at least, or not immediately. So we'll have to play that by ear, see how that shakes out. Of course, the second they do something like this, the game is ours. Should be very careful about their exposed king. I mean, of course, so do we. Ooh, actually, rook takes looks wonderful here. Because rook takes, knight takes. Oh, that would be brutal. Be like this to get the most out of it. Oh gosh, yeah, that looks really, really bad. So for our opponent's sake, I hope they see rook takes on b8. I think that is the strongest way to get out of the situation. And will leave us, we'll trade 2 rooks for a rook and a knight, and we'll be left with just a queen against a queen and a rook. I'm waiting with bated breath to see if they see it, because we'd have to do, yeah, it'd be rook takes on b8. Nope, they don't find it. A little disappointing for our opponent, but that's all right. Where are they going from here? Back to c6, loses the knight, or just it really loses the rook outright. And now if they take, we just take back, and it's just a rook trade, which I was foolish to offer in the first place. Yeah, exciting game. We're down a piece, but up 2 pawns. We'll be excited to see our opponent missed a tactic, so we might still be able to pull this off, depending on if they continue to try to be clever with their pieces. They have this somewhat advanced, certainly not a passer, but a fairly advanced pawn. They have, this knight is loose, so they have maybe ideas of like, gosh, I don't know, queen to h5, and then that doesn't look like it's going to do anything because of takes. But they, I mean, they're like partially done with the rook lift at this point, right? They have this rook on e3, so they could do something like queen out, rook over, and then takes with checkmate. Like that looks deadly. We could push g6 in response, but I think getting their rook and their queen aligned onto our king would be really, really scary. Okay, they take. We will take back. A little bit of a bummer for our opponent, I would say, not identifying that really nice fork that they had access to. Now I think queen down to b7, threatening their knight, and then queen up to b1, winning their queen. I guess not winning their queen. They have rook back to e1. But if they do want to do something like rook over to h3, getting some more firepower on our king, that looks like it could be dangerous. But I do not believe it would actually be dangerous because we have this really killer back rank mate idea. Just like that. Let's see what they come up with. They could also push one of their 3 remaining pawns. They don't go for it. Okay. So let's threaten. They put their rook in exactly the wrong spot. Probably move their knight. They've got a couple options for their knight. Maybe they'll write it off as just a lost cause. Maybe they'll try to get material for it. Like if they move out to g6, they sort of are weakening our king side, certainly. But if they try to move their knight out of the way, we have queen to b1, and they either have to push an escape square for their king or lose the game with queen to b1, queen takes on b1, rook takes on b1, checkmate. They take. That's not going to do it. Oh, that's interesting. So I guess if we go up here, they can come down with check. We take, and then they take. Ooh, that's deadly. That's really cool. Great move from our opponent. So what do we do here? Do we just push this pawn? I think, yeah, we can't move forward with this plan. We could push h6, give an escape square for our king. Yeah, so push h6. Then in the case of, say if we do this, they do, I don't know, some innocuous, like queen moves. Then we have queen, rook, king. Maybe like rook, queen. Okay, yeah, so let's push an escape square. Let's take a moment to snorkel thoughtfully. They do have knight out to g6 check, which looks really dangerous. And so if we push h6, we lose the opportunity to take their knight. So I think we need to push like this. I think that works. And now if they come up, we can take it. And if they want to come down, we have an escape square. This is a very deadly combination, though, this combination of knight and rook. So we will have to be very careful. Oh, nope. We lose our queen by doing this. Yeah. Shucks. Great move from our opponent. Yeah, discovered attack on our queen. Well done. They better push h3 or something, though. Because if they want to move their queen out with check, then that's the game. That's the game, folks. Okay, yeah, so they correctly find the right move. Well done. So let's, how do we recover from this sort of devastating turn of events? I think king to g7, preventing some of these checking ideas. And then maybe we push this pawn up the board. Up and over like that, and push, push, push. That looks pretty decent. Push over. They have queen up like this to hit our rook. I think they can pretty much always hit our rook from the side, so maybe we do need to get our king over there. Oh, here we go. Maybe push queen takes check with checkmate to quickly follow. Looks decent. We of course have rook over to b1 check, forcing king to g2, but I don't think that accomplishes anything for us. They take. Interesting. Queen over check looks decent. How do we prevent something like this? Comes down, pawn comes down. I think we need to get our rook involved. So what do we do? Something like this. Queen takes, pawn up. Yep. All right, calculation heavy in game. Up like this. Queen comes down, king comes up. Other pawn push maybe? But yeah, let's hit their queen. They push, we take, and they get another queen. And then the situation hasn't really changed. I guess we're just sort of up a pawn at that point. Takes, push. King over to f7 works. Would love to see takes here. Our opponent is sort of running, not low on time, but they only have 9 minutes remaining. So we might be able to get away with something if our opponent sort of crumbles under time pressure. They move with check. Let's move, I don't know, down to f8, let's say. Or I guess, yeah, I think this is better because they'll take here, and then we can take their pawn. They move. Okay. So what if we move here? Or I think more accurately, we should move. I guess what's going to happen is king moves, pawn promotes, king takes, queen takes, and then we're stuck. Is there a better way out of the situation? We push, they get another queen regardless, and then we're in a lot of trouble. Queen comes down, rook comes down, queen takes checkmate. Yeah, so I think we have to go for this. Yep. Queen takes, push. Queen takes, king moves to the center of the board. It's exactly where we want to be. A situation like this. Okay. We can sort of motor our king over to our one pawn. It doesn't seem like we're going to get there in time. Shucks. All right. Maybe we can pick up this h4 pawn. I'm gonna try my best to turn this into a draw. I mean, there's no way we can win at this point. But darn it, I'm gonna give it my all. I think the best we can hope for is draw by insufficient material versus timeout. One legal move. Could get a draw due to no legal moves. Let's see. Check. We have, again, one legal move. Not out of the question to get a draw here. Brona has to proceed very carefully, I would say. Making sure to check us on every step. Let's say queen over to h5 would be a great move here. There we go. Delivering checkmate would be even better. Let's take a look and see where it all went wrong. I suspect I know. Let's go ahead and mute this. Let's switch to the analysis board. Book moves, caro-kann advance. Nothing too crazy here. They take, we take back. That's wonderful. C5 is best. We're putting a lot of pressure on this D4 pawn. E3 is a mistake. We win. This says you found a way to win a rook. So what is the tactic here? Queen takes B2. Bishop to C1. It seems wildly incorrect. So what is the correct follow-up here? Defending their hanging rook. C takes D4. Queen takes here was the correct move. Pawn takes. What is the sequence of events that leads to us winning a rook? I simply do not understand. No, I think our opponent played correctly. Queen back to B5 is correct? Is best? And then queen over to A6 to defend our hanging pawn. Yeah, I'm afraid I don't understand engine. I don't believe queen takes B2 is a good way to win a rook. The game proceeds. We have... Yep, we exchange pieces of equal value. This is a good move. We should have taken the other pawn here. They take a free pawn. We get bishop to d4 and we get castled. And then, yeah, knight to a5 was the blunder. They miss it. I guess we get knight to c4, 6. Oh, I see. Queen takes a2 was worse. We could have moved to b2. I thought the only good moves for us were, or I thought the only viable option was queen to a4, but after knight out, king moves, rook moves, something like that. Like we're losing the piece regardless. Maybe that's what it was. I don't remember exactly. I'll have to review the playback. But queen to b2 would have been better here. That's another way to protect the rook. E5 is best. Rook a to b8 is a mistake. They do find c6, but then miss. Rook takes on b8. Oh, that's interesting. The engine is saying rook takes is best here. Knight takes. And then we threaten their knight. And then it's much worse. Yeah. Probably because of this forking idea here. This rook takes, knight takes. Absolutely brutal. This would have been much, much worse. I did not see that. Otherwise, I probably would have gone for queen takes knight. Fortunately for us, our opponent didn't see it. We give up a pawn, and my idea of queen to b1 does not work because they have, yeah, rook check, rook takes, absolutely brutal. Queen takes, yeah. So I'm glad I spotted that. We didn't go for that, but they do get that discovered attack on our queen, which I don't know if there's a way that we could have avoided actually. G6, I guess this was the move, and then yeah, there's no good way out of this. I guess queen up to a6. They don't get, I guess, yeah, they don't get that anymore. But yeah, I mean, the advantage for white is so strong here. The engine is writing off our queen, basically, just saying like, hey, you're not going to be able to hang on to that. Decent endgame. Our opponent gets 2 queens without too much hassle. And then, yeah, nothing much to write about the endgame. Our opponent had a crushing advantage as soon as we lost our queen in this discovered attack. So that's all right. Something to figure out for next time. It feels good to have a loss, honestly, after the weird winning streak. Hoping to get back into the wins pretty soon here, but I'm going to call it here. Have a good one, y'all.